So welcome again to Friends Around the World. I have gone back in our schedule to make a video for one of the first squares we did, the knots and the crosses squares. They're very similar, so I'm going to do one video to join both of them together. We're going to start with a knots, or in Canada we call it X's and O's. So we're going to start with the O, or the circles that are in our square. This is a technique that is joined as you go, so after our first square we will be making 4 small squares and joining them together. So to start this first square, you will take your chosen color and we're going to chain 4 to start. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then we will join with a slip stitch in that first chain to close and make a ring. Chain 3, oops, 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, and into the center of that ring we're going to make 15 double crochet. So that's 1, 2, and 3. As you work around, you may need to slide those double crochet around the ring a little bit to be able to fit them all in. So you can go ahead and complete the 15 double crochet. (13), 14, and 15 double crochet into that center ring, and including our chain 3 at the beginning, we should have 16 stitches in the ring. So we can go ahead and join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to complete round 1. For round 2, we will chain 3 right where we are, work a double crochet in the base of that chain 3 or in the top of the chain 3 from the previous round where we joined together. So it'll look like 2 double crochet in that first stitch, and then we will work in each stitch around, we will work 2 double crochet. So that's 1, and then the second one in the same stitch. So in the top of each stitch we're going to place 2 double crochet all the way around for round 2. So when you've made your way around, putting 2 double crochet in each stitch, you should have, including our first chain 3, a total of 32 stitches in this round. So even if you're going to continue with the same color, you are going to join and fasten off. So you can join with a slip stitch and fasten off, or if you're familiar with the invisible join or the needle join, that's a nice place to do it here. Our next round will be working back post stitches, and so the needle join often makes a nicer finish when you're doing back post stitches on the next round. So you can go ahead and finish off, and then I'll meet you back here for round 3. So for round 3, we can join around the post of any stitch from round 2. You can either join with a slip stitch inserting from the back around to the front and to the back again, slip stitch, and then chain 2, which would count as the first half double crochet. If you're comfortable with standing stitches, you can go ahead and make this first stitch a standing back post half double crochet, like so. And then we'll just work a back post half double crochet around each of the stitches of this round. So you yarn over, insert from the back underneath the loops to go around the post, out to the back again to pull your loop through, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So back post half double crochet around each of the stitches. So you should have a total of 32 back post half double crochet on this round, and then you can just go ahead and join to the starting stitch with a slip stitch. So continuing for round 4, we will make a chain 2 right where we are, which counts as a half double crochet. In the next stitch, we will make 2 half double crochet, and then the next stitch just 1 half double crochet. So we'll continue to work around, alternating 2 half double crochet in one stitch, 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. So you can go ahead and continue that sequence around the circle, and that should give you a total of 48 stitches. When you get to the end of round 4, your last stitch will be worked with the 2 half double crochet in there to make the 48 half double crochet, join to the starting chain 2 to end round 4. Now for round 5, we're going to chain 1 to start, and then the repeat says to single crochet in each of the next 2. For this very first time, the first single crochet goes at the base of that chain 1 in the top of our chain 2 from last round. So single crochet there, and then single crochet in the next stitch as well. Then we will half double crochet in each of the next 2, 1, 2, double crochet in the next, and then in the next stitch we'll work a double crochet and a treble in the same stitch, and a treble crochet in the next stitch, and the next stitch will be a treble again, and then a double crochet in the same stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, then half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2 half double crochet, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. So that's a full repeat. We'll continue to work that around until we have the 4 corners made and we meet up to the first side. So again, to start the repeat, we've made 1 single crochet, we're going to make 2 more single crochet, then half double crochet in the next 2, double crochet in the next stitch. Then in the next stitch we'll make a double crochet and a treble crochet, and in the next stitch a treble crochet, which makes our corner stitch. Then starting down the next side, we'll make a treble crochet in the next stitch and a double crochet in that same stitch, double crochet in the next, half double crochet in the next 2, 1 and 2, and then a single crochet. So you can continue to make those repeats along the side, and I'll meet you back here at the end of this round. So I'm just finishing up my last repeat here on the last side. I've made my 2 half double crochet, and I have room for my last single crochet. Then we can go ahead and join to our first single crochet of the round. So each side, actually when you count up all stitches, you should have a total of 56 stitches. Remembering the single treble crochet is in each of the corner stitches, followed by a treble, double, 2 halves, 3 singles, 2 halves, a double, and then a double and a treble before the next corner. Round 6, and this is the final round for these smaller squares. For this first square only, we will complete all 4 sides of round 6. From here on, round 6 will be the round that we use to join as we go to each of these smaller squares. So I'll help you with that in a few minutes. So we can complete this round on our first square here. So we will chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. So for this first time only, that's the same stitch as our chain 1 that we single crochet into. Chain 1, we'll miss a stitch and repeat that. Single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, miss a stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1 and miss a stitch. Then we'll single crochet in this next stitch, chain 1, which should bring us to that corner treble crochet, into which we will make a single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet in that same stitch. After we've worked single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in the corner, we will chain 1, then in the next stitch we will single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch. We'll repeat that 2 more times. Single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch. So that's 3 repeats. Then we go back to the start of the sequence where we will single crochet after we skipped a stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch. That's once, twice, and 3 times. So we skip a stitch and we single crochet in that next stitch, which should be the stitch just before the treble crochet. Chain 1, and in that corner treble crochet we single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, in the next stitch we single crochet, and then we start skipping. Chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, and so on down each of the sides. And remembering just before that corner treble crochet, in the treble crochet just before it, we will place a single crochet, chain 1, but then we don't skip and we work right into that corner treble crochet. So you can finish up those sides and I'll meet you back here at the end of this round. So we should end this final side with a chain 1, ready to skip this last stitch and join to that starting single crochet with a slip stitch and fasten off. Okay, so remember we only complete all 4 sides of this very first square. If you are doing 4 knots or 4 circles, you want to make your second one, and then on that round 6 is where we would join together. I'm going to show you how to make the crosses square, and then I will show how to join the squares together. Making the crosses square, we will start with a chain 4, 2, 3, 4, join with a slip stitch in that first chain to form a ring. Then we will chain 3, so chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and into the ring we will make 15 double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3, and continue around making 15 double crochet, and then with our starting chain 3 that would be a total of 16 double crochet, and join with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 to finish off round 1. Okay, for round 2 we will start with a chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We will make 2 double crochet in the next stitch, and then the next stitch we'll make a double crochet, and working around that same stitch we'll make a front post treble. So we yarn over twice and then going around the post of that same double crochet, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2-3 times to finish the front post treble. Then in each of the next 3 stitches we will make 2 double crochet. So 1 and 2 double crochet in the first stitch, 1 and 2 double crochet in the second stitch, and 1 and 2 double crochet in that third stitch. And then in the next one we will do the double crochet, just 1, and then another front post treble around that same double crochet. Okay, so you continue to work your way around with 2 double crochet in each of the next 3, and then that double crochet front post treble in the next stitch. And I'll see you back here at the end of this round. So once you've made 4 of those front post treble, we should have another stitch left where we'll work the 2 double crochet into that, and then we will place a double crochet in the same stitch as our starting chain 3, and then join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 to end round 2. Round 3, we'll chain 3 again to start, which counts as a double crochet, and into the next stitch we'll work another double crochet, and then 2 double crochet in this next stitch, 1 and 2, and 1 double crochet in the next stitch. And then the next stitch, which should be the front post treble, we will double crochet into that, and then we'll also make another front post treble around that front post treble. Okay, and then we'll double crochet in the next stitch and 2 double crochet in the next stitch. We'll repeat that sequence 3 times. So 1 double crochet, and then in the next stitch 2 double crochet. So that's twice, and then we'll do that one more time. 1 double crochet and 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And 1 more double crochet in the next stitch. So after the front post treble, we should have a total of 10 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which should bring us to that next front post treble, where we'll double crochet in the top of that, and then work a front post treble around that front post treble. Okay, so I'll let you continue that around, and I'll meet you back here at the end. So after our 4th front post treble, we should be able to double crochet in the next stitch, 2 double crochet in the next, 1, 2, double crochet in the next stitch, the last stitch of the round, and then we will place a double crochet at the base of our starting chain 3 as well. Join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3, which will complete round 3. Round 4, we'll start with the chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. Then we'll make a single crochet in that same stitch as our join from last round. So 1 single crochet, and we'll single crochet in the next stitch as well. And then we'll make a half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, half double crochet. Double crochet in the next stitch, and then in the next stitch we'll make a double crochet, and into the same stitch we will also make a treble crochet, which should bring us to that front post treble again. And this time we will make a front post double treble around there. So we wrap the hook 3 times for a front post double treble, and then insert from the front around the back of that front post treble, pull the yarn through, and then we'll yarn over and pull through 2 4 times to complete that front post double treble. And then into the next stitch we will make a treble crochet, and in that same stitch another double crochet. And then a double crochet in the next stitch, and then a half double crochet in each of the next 2. So 1, 2, half double crochet, single crochet in the next, which completes our sequence. So we're ready to start that again. Remember how we started with 2 single crochet, so on each side we'll have a total of 3 single crochet beside each other. So we have that one there, so we'll start our sequence of double crochet or single crochet in the next 2 stitches, half double in each of the next 2, 1 double crochet, and then a double crochet and a treble in that stitch just before the front post treble. Oops. And then around our front post treble we're going to make a front post double treble. So 3 yarn over and around the post, making that double treble. And then a treble in the next stitch and double in that same stitch. Double in the next, half in the next 2, 1, 2, and single crochet. So you can continue to make those repeats around, and I'll see you back at the end of this round. I'm just working after my last front post double treble. I've made a treble and a double in the next stitch and a double crochet in the next. I'm ready for my 2 half double crochet, so 1 and 2, and then in that last stitch we will make a single crochet and join to our first single crochet to end round 4. Round 5, we'll chain 1, which does not count as a stitch, and we'll single crochet in the same stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next, chain 1, skip a stitch, and single crochet in the next, which should be that last stitch just before the front post double treble. So we will chain 1 and single crochet in that double treble, front post double treble, chain 2 and single crochet in that same stitch for our new corner. Okay, and then we'll chain 1, single crochet in this next stitch, and then we'll start chaining 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, and repeat that. And the last single crochet should be in that stitch just before the corner, and chain 1. So if you are making a complete square using the crosses, and this is your first cross square, you will continue that pattern of the single crochet, chain 1 around with that single crochet, chain 2 in each corner. If this is your second square of the crosses, or if you're mixing the knots and the crosses together, I'm going to show you now how we're going to start joining those together. So to join the squares, we will join them in this order: 1, 2, come over here for square 3 and 4. So I'm starting with my square 1 is complete, where I have that single crochet, chain 1 edging around the entire square. I'm mixing the knots and the crosses. So I want to join, so that's my first square and this is my second square. So we're going to be joining the sides. I'm going to complete another full side of the single crochet, chain 1. So then it will be facing this way, and then we'll work the join here. So we want to have 2 complete sides. We start with just a part side, 1 complete side there. I'm ready for my corner stitch of the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 1, and place a single crochet in the next stitch, and then along the side we'll chain 1 and skip 1 and single crochet in the next. Okay, so I have reached on my second completed side of square number 2. I am ready for that corner stitch. So I will start with my single crochet in that corner stitch. Now instead of chaining 2, I will just chain 1. And then I will slip stitch. So if I have my squares together, in this chain 2 corner space of square 1, I'm going to slip stitch into there. Okay, now I like to turn mine this way. I find it easier to work going sideways or horizontally, but that first slip stitch went into the chain 2 corner space of square 1. And then we will single crochet back into that square 2, that double treble, to make the corner on our square 2. Okay, so single crochet in the corner, chain 1, slip stitch into the chain 2 space of the square 1, single crochet back into that double treble of square 2. And then in this first on square 1, after the corner stitches, so if the square 1 has a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and we've slip stitched into the chain 2 space. So then you can see how it has that chain 1 past that second single. So from square 2, we made our second single crochet of the corner. Instead of making a chain 1, we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space from square 1. So I put my hook from above, keep the yarn under, grab that yarn and pull through the space and the loop on my hook. And then we skip, no, this time we work right into that single crochet just past our corner on square 2. Okay, so remembering we're finishing the side of square 2 where we have usually have those chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet. So that's mostly what we're doing, but as we're doing it, we're joining into the chain 1 spaces from square 1. Okay, so we'll continue down our side. So we skip the single crochet on square 1 and working into that next chain 1 space, insert our hook, grab that yarn, pull through this space and through the loop on our hook, and then on square 2 we need to skip a stitch and work into the next stitch for a single crochet. Okay. So then we find the next chain 1 on square 1, insert our hook, pull the loop up and through the loop on our hook, skip a stitch on square 2, single crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 of square 1, skip a stitch on square 2, single crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space on square 1, skip a stitch on square 2, single crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 2, single crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 2, single crochet into the next stitch, which should be the stitch just before the front post treble. Okay, and then we'll slip stitch into this next chain 1 space of square 1, which should be the last chain 1 space before the corner. So we slip stitch there, and then working into our front post double treble, we'll make our first single crochet of the corner, slip stitch into the chain 2 corner space of square 1, and then chain 1 before we make our second single crochet in that front post double treble for our corner. And then we're ready to chain 1, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then we can join to our starting single crochet of square 2 and fasten off. So we did it. That is how the designer does what she calls her zigzag join. So on that third side of our crosses square, instead of making a chain 1, we slip stitched into the chain 1 of the previous square, or square 1. So square 1 and square 2 are joined. So next comes square 3 on this side. So for mine, I'm going to make another crosses square, and then I'll meet you back here and show you how we join those 2 squares. So I have worked my square 3. I've completed 2 full sides of that single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and I'm ready to join to my other 2 squares. Now remember, this is square 1 and square 2. Square 3 is going to join to that square 1, starting in the same corner chain 2 space as we ended the join for square 2. So there's already a slip stitch in there from square 2. We are going to work into that same chain 2 space. So I've completed my chain 1 just before the corner. I'll make my single crochet in my corner stitch of square 3, chain 1. Then I'm going to insert into that chain 2 corner space of square 1, keeping that yarn underneath, pull it up and through the loop on my hook. So slip stitch, and then I need to single crochet in that same corner stitch of square 3. Instead of chaining 1 as we join, we just work a slip stitch into that first chain 1 space of square 1, and then a single crochet into the first stitch past my corner double treble stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, single crochet into the next. Slip stitch into that next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, single crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, and single crochet. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, single crochet in the next. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, single crochet in the next. Slip stitch into the chain 1 space of square 1, skip a stitch on square 3, single crochet in the next, which should be that last stitch before our corner front post double treble. Then we'll slip stitch into the last chain 1 space of the side of square 1, work a single crochet into the front post double treble of square 3, slip stitch into the corner chain 2 space of square 1, and this time we chain 1 to complete our corner, single crochet in that same corner of square 3, chain 1, single crochet into the next stitch, and then we'll finish this last side. Chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and join to our first single crochet and fasten off square 3. We almost have our large square. We have square 1, square 2, and we just joined square 3. So I'm going to go ahead and make another of the knots square to complete the 4th square in my larger square. This time when you get to the last round, you only want to finish 1 complete side of the square 4. So I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So I have finished up my square 4, and I have done my single crochet chain 1 along one, so I started that part side and I finished it along the one full side into my last stitch before the corner treble crochet. So I will chain 1, I'll work my first single crochet in the corner stitch, chain 1. Now we want to join this square 4. We want to join it to square 2 first. We'll join the corner and then we'll join it to square 3 as well. So into this outside corner chain 2 of square 2, we will make that slip stitch and then make our second single crochet for our corner of square 4. And we'll slip stitch into the first chain 1 space of square 2 and single crochet into that first stitch past the corner of square 4. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 2, skip a stitch on square 4, single crochet in the next. Slip stitch in the next chain 1 space of square 2, skip a stitch on square 4, single crochet. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 2, skip a stitch on square 4, single crochet in the next. to slip stitch in the next chain 1 space of square 2. I'm working around a little bit of a tail there. It's better if you sew them in beforehand, but if you haven't, it is okay to work around them. Skip a stitch on square 4, single crochet in the next. And working into the next chain 1 space of square 2, we'll slip stitch, skip a stitch on square 4, single crochet in the next. Slip stitch in the next chain 1 space of square 2, skip a stitch, square 4, single crochet in the next, and slip stitch into that last chain 1 space on square 2. Do not skip a stitch this time, but place your first single crochet in the corner stitch on square 4, and then we will slip stitch into the corner chain 2 space of square 2, and this time we're also going to, from that slip stitch into square 3 corner chain 2 space. So we went a single crochet in the corner stitch on square 4, slip stitch into the corner chain 2 of square 2, and then immediately slip stitch into the corner chain 2 of square 3, and then single crochet in our corner stitch on square 4. And that's how we get our center join to look nice and neat. So now we're ready to work down square 3, and we'll slip stitch in that first chain 1 space. Do not skip a stitch, and single crochet in the next stitch on square 4. Slip stitch into the chain 1 space on square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet on the next on square 4. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next of square 4. Slip stitch in the next chain 1 space of square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet in the next on square 4. Slip stitch into the next chain 1 space on square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet on the next of square 4. Almost there, slip stitch into the next chain 1 space on square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet on the next of square 4, slip stitch into the next chain 1 space of square 3, skip a stitch, single crochet into the next of square 4, and then we have our last chain 1 space of square 3 to slip stitch into, and then we'll slip our single crochet into our corner stitch of square 4, slip stitch into the chain 2 space of square 3, and chain 1, make our second single crochet in that corner stitch of square 4, chain 1, don't skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, single crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and join to that starting single crochet from square 4. Fasten off and give yourself a pat on the back. We did it. We made 4 smaller squares and joined to each of them as we finished the next smaller square. So remember, it's square 1 and 2, and then we joined square 3 to square 1 as well. Then square 4 joined to square 2 and square 3. Good job. Round 1 of the border. We're going to join our yarn in any chain 2 corner space. So you can join with the slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 5 2, 3, 4, 5, which counts as a double crochet, chain 2, and then we'll double crochet in that same corner space to make our new corner. We're going to double crochet along the side. We'll place a double crochet in each stitch and each chain 1 space. And we'll work up to where we first join the 2 smaller squares together. So we're just working double crochet along each side, placing a double crochet in each stitch and each chain 1 space. Okay, so I'm at my last single crochet before that chain space of the corners and the join. So I'll place a double crochet in that single crochet. And then we're going to make a double crochet 2 together in each of these spaces, working into each of these spaces on either side of the join. So we yarn over, go into the first chain 2 corners space in front of the join to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Then we'll yarn over again and go into this space just past the join into that corner space to pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's 3 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 for our double crochet 2 together. And then we'll just continuing double crochet in each of the stitches and chain 1 spaces across to our next corner. Okay, so I've worked my double crochet in each stitch and chain 1 space, and in that last single crochet before the corner space, and then in the corner we will make the 1 double crochet, chain 2, and 1 double crochet in that same corner space. Okay, so you should have a total of 37 double crochet across the side, then the chain 2 in the corner. So remember, we work each single crochet and chain 1 space, and then at the join we make that double crochet 2 together, 1 in each of the spaces there, 1 leg of each of that stitch, and then double crochet across. So 37 double crochet with the corners with the chain 2 space. So I'll meet you back here at the end of this round. Well, finishing up our final side, I just need to make my last double crochet in the last stitch of the round, and then we can go ahead and join to that 3rd chain of our starting chain 5 to complete the first round of the border. So again, there should be 37 double crochet each side, including that 1 double crochet 2 together, and then the chain 2 spaces in the corners. For round 2 of the border, we will slip stitch into the chain 2 corner space, or if you're changing colors, join your new yarn in the corner space. We will chain 4, which equals a half double crochet, and chain 2. Then we'll make 1 more half double crochet in that corner space. Then along the sides, we're going to make a back post double crochet around each stitch. So it should be 37 back post double crochet around the side. So each side, back post double crochet around each stitch. When you come to that double crochet 2 together, make sure you work the back post double around what looks like the 2 legs of that double crochet 2 together. Then you continue working 1 back post double crochet around each stitch. So just finishing up my final side with my last 2 back post double crochet, then join with a slip stitch to the chain 2 of our starting chain 4. Round 2 of the border complete. Round 3 of the border is a repeat of round 2. If you're continuing with the same color, you'll just slip stitch into that chain 2 corner space where we left off. Or if you're joining a new color, we'll join in any of the chain 2 corner spaces, chain 4, which counts as our first half double crochet, chain 2, and then half double crochet into that same corner space. And then this time we will be working 39 back post double crochet around each side. So around each of the stitches of the side we'll work our back post double crochet, and then in the corner the half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet. So I'll see you back here at the end of this round. When you're finished, make sure you join with a slip stitch to the chain to the second chain of our opening chain 4 and fasten off this round and complete this square.